Hello and welcome back to our weekly professional insights brought to you in part by the National Referral Network, where we feature different financial professionals to help you see how a coordinated financial team can turn your financial plans from good to great. And this week, we're a little outside the financial realm. We're going to talk about communication. And I am honored to welcome Dr. Miluna Fausch, an author, a speaker, executive coach who focuses on enhancing communication, your voice, and your presence as a leader. So we're going to walk through some of her insights. But before we do that, make sure to hit that subscribe button, notification bell. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. And as a very personal plug, her book link is below. So check that out as well. So good morning, Miluna. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you so much, Mike.
I'm excited to talk about this topic. We kind of talked off camera a little bit about it, but to jump into this, could you share your journey and what led you to specialize in this field, communication, voice, and kind of presence coaching?
Started as a little girl. Imagine a little girl in the backyard swinging and singing all of the television jingles. If anybody knows what I mean by that. And I wanted to be a singer or a race car driver. So obviously I had an auditory sense, a sense of being in love with voices as long as I can remember. So I studied piano and flute and voice one. I thought this is the most interesting. I'm best at this, I think. That led to acting and then being in corporate and many other things that I've delved into. I'm a person, I've got to experiment and do the job myself before I can understand it or help someone else. I used to coach actors and singers, but sometimes they like to not have money, be starving artists, we'll say. I felt that business people and entrepreneurs would understand. Plus, I consider myself a left and right brain, very balanced entrepreneur. And that's how I narrowed it down to working with executives and leaders, because I understood they didn't always understand how to speak with clarity, how to deliver a message, how to connect with the audience heart to heart, or how to tell a story.
Now, working with actors and business owners, I'm sure those two different paradigms. It said on your website that you had some personal challenges when you first started, including stage fright. And I think business owners have that challenge because they were never taught any of this. So what strategies can professionals use to conquer some of those similar fears, and how did you overcome those?
It is still the number one fear, public speaking, from what we know, even above death. So that's terrifying, isn't it? It's a lot of us are told that we have to look a certain way, we have to deliver, and the physical response of stage fright is a natural physical response. We want to do well. It also goes back to the part of our brain that's still reptilian. We might be in danger on stage. And that could look like a heckler, question we can't answer, we feel bad. We also don't like to say we don't know. When in fact, we should say a lot more, I don't know, but I can find out for you. It's a matter of understanding, let yourself off the hook, first of all. Understand you care enough to speak your very best. So even at this stage of my career, sometimes I will still have a little butterfly or two before we go. And that's my message. I care enough about this presentation.
Now, Miluna, though, with business owners, we are told, or they are told, that they have to have the answers. And we talk about this on this podcast or the show from exit professionals and other financial planners, that in order to get to where you need to be, that you have to do everything. We have this in our mind that we have to be everything in the business. So if you take that and you're supposed to have all the answers, how can leaders develop a voice that inspires trust and driving action without showing that mindset of I don't know?
Yes, we are expected to know all of that, especially folks that we're trusting with money and our life and circumstances like that. It's the difference between being a know-it-all and being vulnerable enough to say, I don't have the answer right now. There are languages you can use, different words to say that. I'm going to challenge us to think that the real leader, the true financial professional we can trust, can say that. And understand, if you go in your head, that starts the problem. We leave our body, we leave our heart. Instead of staying in our whole body and taking deep breaths and pausing, which is one way to stop the fright, we need to be able to say in a very clear and trustworthy fashion, I don't have the answer for that. I need to check with so-and-so. I will email you that answer tomorrow by 12 noon Pacific. So we're taking complete responsibility. We're not denying it. We're not saying we know. We're not lying to cover something. And we're giving a present time real answer. You'll have that by tomorrow. And then, of course, we do what we say because we're to be trusted.
And how much preparation, and it doesn't, I mean, and I'm asking this in a very broad sense, but whether you're doing a board meeting, whether you're presenting to your employees on the 2024, business plan, or you're communicating like this, how much preparation or how important is preparation in getting that speech together?
It's key. It's huge. Most folks say, Dr. Miluna, I don't have time to prepare. You don't have time not to prepare.
Okay.
Think of what is at stake here. So we don't memorize presentations, but we have the highlights, what I call the non-negotiables. No matter what happens, you must say these three things. Even 10 minutes a day of focused rehearsal on camera, audio, you can record yourself, you can video yourself, you can ask your spouse or someone, your dog, your cat, to witness your presentation, but you've got to speak it aloud so that you can experience your own voice, and you've got to prepare. You've got to be practiced and polished to be a professional. It's not perfection, but it is practice.
So I listened to a video the other day and it talked about business as a whole. And if you look at actors or if you look at professional athletes, they have a time for practice, they have a time for pregame, they have a time for the game, right? And things are very compartmentalized in that process. And what this individual was saying, to your point, was that in business, we do not take the time to practice. It is always taking action. And most oftentimes we're not prepared to take that action. And so with that, what are some common mistakes that you see professionals make in their speech or their presentation?
Loved what you said. What a great realization. It's true. If we are going to serve at the highest level, we must be able to tell our story. And one of the biggest mistakes, we're always in our head, especially the left brain, the facts, the figures. So not only have we left out the right brain, some headspace, some creativity, where's the heart? A story does not come from the brain. A story comes from your heart. So it's thinking that our intelligence, our left brain mostly, is going to get us everything we want. And in this Western society, that's what we're applauded for. Our intelligence, our degree, our facts and figures, our report. But to serve at the highest, the sound waves, or the waves, Heart Math Institute studied this. The brain only goes a few feet in front.
Okay.
But the energy of your heart, I dare to call it love and respect for your audience and clients, goes out much further. So we need to understand we're not to fix our clients, we're to help them overcome circumstances, we're to help them make better decisions. So we need to be in our whole body. We need to pause and reflect. Sometimes we just need to think for a moment. Give me a moment. Let me think about that. And then we're able to collect our thoughts and answer better. So it's a position of vulnerability, and you don't know everything. And why should you? Why should we expect ourselves to? We can't. It's not our job. And how boring.
Right. And I think one of the things I learned going through Toastmasters a long time ago was the audible pause is a very useful tool to collect your thoughts. Right? It's that moment.
Yes,
It's that moment that although you're on stage, one, it's that moment for somebody to take in what you said. So it's the absorption of the delivery. But more importantly, if somebody asks you a question, it's that ability to pause, reflect real quick, and then come up with a reasonable answer, even if it is, I don't know that. And most people don't use that
exactly.
audible pause very, very well.
It's usually filled with filler words, unlike, so,
Yep.
and these are static interference. They serve no purpose. It's true. It's the difference. If we will pause for a second, take a deep breath in the lower belly, then we can respond versus react. And that's another thing I see sometimes leaders do, perhaps immature leaders, folks that were in military where you just bark orders and give a command. The workplace is not that. The leadership has similarities, but you're not in command actually, unless you are in the military. So if we will take that moment, pause thoughtfully, and it won't be nearly as long as we think. It's usually only a couple of seconds. We're not going to die. Everything is okay. Then we can respond and not react in anger or inappropriate or less than really our highest or most creative answer.
So,
The moment is where we're in the genius zone. And it's the trickiest thing we can do and the best thing. Stay right here, stay right in the moment, and that's where you will answer in a much more delightful
so in a
way.
world that is filled with instant videos, instant content, instant everything, how does one make that paradigm shift so that they can deliver their voice in a professional way that creates impact?
Yes, we've got to slow down, don't we? It's the hustle culture, and we've got to get so much done, and the to do list goes on for days. But what it does is put us out of sync with the natural rhythm. Most of us have, depending on where we live, there are four seasons, and that's for a
Yep.
reason. The winter, animals hibernate. They're smart enough to know to hibernate. Humans should also take a step back. What do I want to think about on my business? What do I want to plant in the spring? It's developing a bit of a meditative practice, toning, singing, running, whatever activity we can do that takes us out of that hustle mind, the nonstop thoughts. Our goal is not to stop the thoughts, but how about slow them for a minute, interrupt them for a minute? And if we will take that time to get a bit of headspace and clarity, we'll be more productive. We will respond better. We'll get more done because it will be more aligned. But if we continue to push against the natural state of Mother Earth itself and herself, we're actually just going to run on the gerbil wheel and we're not going to get as much done as we think.
So with this ever-changing landscape, Dr. Miluna, what do you see coming from in the future that professionals need to prepare for in order to communicate more effectively?
So much. To continue to work on trust language, not saying things like, well, to be honest,
Yep.
which negates everything you said for the last 10
I
minutes.
love that.
Oh, is he just not being
Yeah.
honest?
If you have to say it, there's something of question there.
Now we're questioning. Now we're like, oh, wait a minute, it didn't line up. To develop a voice that is slow enough for us to actually hear. When someone's speaking a mile a minute, we literally can't hear that fast. So guess what? The message is being
Okay.
lost. I think I say this across the board to all of my clients: slow down.
I fall
Slow down your.
when I talk to clients, I get all excited, and I've been taught some of the team with Protection Point Advisors and working with other individuals. I've been taught to express that, to be vulnerable and say, look, I get excited if I start talking fast, which I'm starting to do right now. Just tell me to slow down or raise your hand, or I will do my best to recognize it. But sometimes I just get so excited, I just want to tell everything.
Exactly. That would be my strategy as well. Call it
Okay.
out. call it out. Folks, you can see my pitch is going up. I'm so excited about this. I'm going to take a breath and see if I can slow down. Everyone can relate to that. So if we'll have that vulnerability as leaders, stay in present tense language, drop words like try, should, would, could, blame, stay in powerful, confident, what I call high frequency words. Give people a chance to react. Be in courageous language. Be clear. Say what you want. When we can clearly say what we want, we open the door for the rest of the team to now say what they want. So now there's some magic that can happen in the leadership circle, and now the whole company can evolve. So we've got to learn to listen, let people find their voice. And it may be a written voice for some. Some folks don't want to be on camera. Maybe they're in charge of taking notes or writing the memos, but let each person find their voice and their brand, because I consider the voice part of the brand in the company.
Gotcha.
That's what we can do as leaders.
Well, I love it. Dr. Miluna, I appreciate, we try to keep these things, and we could go on. I love this topic, and maybe we'll reschedule and do this again, and we'll kind of go off on some of these tangents, but thank you so much for being here. For you that are watching, there's been a lot of information here. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Once again, like and subscribe. Please share this video if you find somebody, if you know somebody that has a challenge and they would like to improve their speaking. And once again, the plug, I love the topic. You can find her book on Amazon. The information is in the description below. Dr. Miluna, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate the time and the energy and the content, and we'll get you back on.
You are so welcome. Thank you.
Have a good day.